Okay, my name is Lucy Khachoyan. I'm currently an administrator for nursing homes, and I graduated in 2002.
And what nursing home are you administrator of?
I currently am an administrator for Alameda Care Center, which is an 89-bed Alzheimer's locked facility in Burbank, and Montrose Healthcare Center in Montrose, California. It's a 59-bed skilled nursing facility.
Now, how did you get there? I mean, what happened after graduation?
After graduation, well, so it's a long story, but after graduation, I actually ended up working for Kaiser Permanente and as an analyst in the Continuing Care Services Department, doing project management and as a HIPAA liaison and a technology consultant for 8 service areas. And one day, I got a call from a good friend of mine who's also a colleague, Larissa. And she said, "Lucy, would you be interested in becoming an administrator, and you get really good management skills?" Knowing that Kaiser doesn't really give you that opportunity right off of college, I decided to take the opportunity and the pay cut and went over to the AIT program. And I was exposed to about 3 main facilities at the company, great training. And one day, out of the blue, got a call from a recruiter. I wasn't even looking. I was happy, and they mentioned a really good opportunity at a 200-bed facility, closer to where I live, so I didn't have to drive an hour and a half each way. And I decided to go to the interview and see what happens. And I went, and it was great. And it also included a subacute facility that I wanted to get experience in. So I went there. And then after that, 2 facilities opened up that were even closer to where I live, and that was offered to me because I also emphasize a lot on marketing. So they wanted for me to do a lot more marketing in those areas and branding for the facilities. So they offered me that, and I ended up at those 2 facilities.
So you run 2 facilities now?
Yes. Yes.
And the company's name is?
Longwood Management.
Longwood Management. Excellent. And so the things that I hear coming out of your comments is that the things that drove you to make your choices were the salary and how far it was from your home.
Location was key, getting an experience in a larger facility, different kind of environment, which included the subacute because that is different from a traditional SNF. And then, of course, Alzheimer's is different from a traditional SNF. So those things, but again, just kind of having exposure to different departments, different types of management teams, different locations, it just makes you a better leader. I think the more you know, the better you're off.
Now, how did you get interested in gerontology?
Initially, when I came to USC, I was actually majoring in biological sciences, and one day I ran into a lady that worked at the school, and she mentioned gerontology, and she said, "Do you know that you can take the same science courses, and you can have gerontology as your major, but at the same time you get to take classes that are not evolutionary biology. It's different. You learn about aging, what happens to you as you age." And I said, "Sure, why not?" So I actually came and talked to one of the counselors here, and I was sold, and decided to go into gerontology since then, because it does really combine the biology, the of course, the psychobiosocial model that was emphasized throughout my undergraduate degree, and I think it was a great choice that I made. So it's kind of led into it. I didn't really discover it on my own.
Would you recommend a career in gerontology to others?
Absolutely. I think gerontology is the next big thing. We went through the .com boom, and we went through the internet wave, and I think gerontology, and of course one specific aspect being the baby boomer market is the next big thing, and whoever is in it now is going to have an advantage in the future.
What do you see as your career trajectory?
I don't see myself as an administrator for another 10 years or 15 years. I see myself as either going to a corporate level and doing a macro level management, whether it's in the marketing, non-operations departments, or even operations, or actually starting a few ventures which I'm working on currently, and I may have to relocate for those ventures. But they can include anything from improving the career, the workforce rather, in gerontology, and kind of putting gerontology and the gerontology careers on the map for the industry, and really marketing it to the community outside of the long-term care workforce, and also moving into more high technology, healthcare technology sectors. So that's what I'm planning on doing.
Now, I see you as an entrepreneur, that you like entrepreneurial enterprises. Tell me about that.
That's very true, absolutely. In fact, that is the reason why I've been going to a lot of conferences, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can. Networking is key, of course, and I've participated in a couple of Boomer Summits where I've met CEOs of different companies that are starting new technologies that are geared towards elders as well as baby boomers. And currently I'm in discussions with some of these companies, as well as trying to collaborate to work on a couple of ventures that I have in mind. But I think that's what we need to do, because our future clientele is going to be the high-tech clientele. They are going to want wireless technology in the nursing homes. They're going to want customized menus, and everything's going to have to be customized for them. So we can't really take the cookie-cutter approach to any kind of care industry, and we're moving from, in the 80s it was all about good quality, in the 90s we had the service, it was all about providing good service, and now it's about giving good experience, and it's all about the type of experience that you get wherever you go. And that is what I'm trying to get to with my ventures, is providing that experience, whether you're a client or a patient, a resident in a facility, whether you're a staff member or just a vendor. The experience that you walk away with is key. That is what's going to set anyone apart in this industry.
How did the Leonard Davis School and your experience here help you with your career path?
Well, I think most importantly is that the school, aside from the academic benefits that you get, the school helps you network, and they put you in touch, whether it's actively or passively, you get in touch with professionals in the industry, and as they get to know you, they think of you when there are opportunities that open up. And specifically, I got a call when I was at Kaiser. I got a call from a colleague and a friend that I knew from the school, and she was the one that encouraged me, and she was actually a mentor in the process, and said, why don't you try this? Why don't you come and see if this will work for you? And she gave me some tips, and she said, this is how it works, this is what will happen. And I'm glad I made that choice. So it was really the best decision that I made at the time. And even now I have, for instance, when I do recruit administrators in trainings, and I have one that just got licensed and I have 2 training right now, they're all from USC. One of them, the one that's licensed, had a long-term care certificate from the Gerontology school as part of his master's. The other one is actually an undergraduate student right now at the School of Gerontology, and the other one is doing a dual degree, MHA, and also a master's in gerontology. So when I look to recruit leaders, first place I look is the USC Gerontology School or the network.
What's your job like on a daily basis? What do you do on an average day?
On an average day, well, it's a little different when you have 2 facilities, but I will come into the facility, I check my mail quickly, I do rounds, so just get into the facility, do some rounds, make sure everything's looking like it's supposed to, and then I hold a stand-up meeting. That's a required meeting every morning with all the managers, and there are about 12 departments, so on average between 8 to 12 managers attend the meeting, and we discuss the activities of the day from the previous day and what's going to happen the current day, and the census, and any concerns or grievances. And then after the meeting, of course, I can answer phone calls, maybe go to another meeting. I do some marketing throughout the day, maybe a couple of hours, and then depending on how that goes, I go over to the other facility, and if it's in the afternoon and I may not have for a stand-up meeting, I'll just go around and talk to the managers and see what's going on, just find out how the morning went. and just basic reports, being in touch with different vendors and asking patients if they want anything, just making sure everyone's happy, and if there is a concern, which I'm sure every place has daily concerns, that those get followed up on a timely basis.
If others want to pursue a career like yours in long-term care, what courses should they take at USC?
Well, because nursing home administrator's job requires a license that you have to also go through a specific program. If you have a master's degree, you don't have to do a 1,000-hour AIT program, which is what I didn't have to do. I was actually an administrator designee or an assistant administrator. So if you're going through the master's program, it's a simpler process. You do 500 hours of working experience, and you ask the company to provide a letter which you send to the to the board up in Sacramento, and they will allow you to take the exam and become licensed. If you're not in the master's program, if you're an undergraduate, then at that point you get into a 1,000-hour training program, paid or unpaid, at a nursing home or a company that has a program. And at that point, after you complete the program, 1,000 hours, you can take the exam and become licensed with a bachelor's degree.
What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Actually, for me, the most rewarding part, because most administrators work really hard, and I think for me is being able to be the teacher and a student at the same time. I learn every day, but just being able to put systems in place and have the facilities independently operate while I'm not there. Knowing that I actually contributed something, and knowing that they do it not because I'm there and not because I have to be there, but they do it because they want to and they've learned, and just empowering, being able to empower people, I think is very rewarding, that I do have that influence and I'm able to contribute at that level.
What's the most challenging part of your job?
The challenging part is actually, it's a multi-layer challenge, and it really stems from having a very low reimbursement rates in the industry overall. So what that translates into is not being able to, one, recruit the employees that I want, the top-notch, always with a bachelor's or with a master's degree, because we can't really afford them. And the staffing, of course, nurse staffing is difficult in all industries, not just the long-term care industry. And two, being able to recruit the types of physicians that we want in the industry, but they don't really come, and they're not really interested in geriatrics. There are very few of them, and that's due to the reimbursement structure for the physicians. Three, just the regulation, just stringent regulations that sometimes makes people lose focus of why they're in the business in the first place, which is to take care of the patients and make the patients happy. But at the same time, the employees have to be happy too, for there to be. So happy patients equals happy, or happy employees equals happy patients, and sometimes they forget that.
What are the ethical issues that you deal with?
I believe that some of the ethical issues are mainly dealing with patient referral processes, and that includes some kickbacks that are in the industry. There are kickbacks, whether they're giving kickbacks to physicians or case managers or just any other professionals in the system, and patients are directed based on those kickbacks versus based on choice. I think that's a big ethical issue.
What makes a good leader in your industry?
A good leader in our industry is somebody that has good listening skills. They're open-minded. They don't come in thinking that they're the best leader out there, and they're open to learn, because leadership is different in a different environment. You can't take a cookie-cutter approach to leadership, but some of the main qualities are having good listening skills, good organization skills, also having good networking skills. That is really the key. I can't emphasize networking, whether it's going to the events at your own company. It's networking with your own peers, your colleagues. That will help you in recruiting in the future if you need managers. That will help you if you want to find information, you can go to them. But also, not only networking within your industry, I believe you should also network with industries that deal with your industry. So if you're in a nursing home, also work with the pharmacists and work with different vendors, whether it's transportation. Just know people and build good relationships, because it's a small world. It's a very small world, and a good leader knows that even if they leave, even if they're a great leader in one place, that will translate into the other locations or other jobs that they go to in the future.
Do most people that you deal with know what gerontology is?
Actually, they don't. And I remember it started when I first started here, and even my friends in the biology department asked me what gerontology was. And when you tell them what gerontology is, first thought is, well, why do you want to work with old people? Well, that's kind of, it's not very exciting. And then I would come back with a question of, well, don't you want to know what happens to you from your 20s, the aging process? And they kind of would give me a couple of hums and, well, think about it and ask me, well, so what does happen to us? And we would get into the discussion of gerontology. But even right now, some of the managers or nurses that work in the field don't know the term. So they may be working with the elderly, they are in the field of gerontology, but they're not familiar with the term. So,
where can people learn more about opportunities in employment in gerontology?
Well, currently there's actually a new website that was launched this year. It's called JarrowCareerscom, and Jarrow Careers focuses on gerontology as being a career versus just a job. So you can go on there and you can find opportunities ranging from the academic, even if you want to do research in a gerontology or a long-term care department, all the way to becoming an administrator, vice president. And also there are a lot of nursing opportunities. We will be adding opportunities in the medical spa industry, so where they will be dealing with boomers and that process, the aging skin. So it's a really good site, and again, I encourage everyone to log on, put their resumes, because employers can also look at resumes, and that's JarrowCareers.com.
And how did you get involved with that website?
Well, I'm working on it. I'm part of the team that made it happen, and we will be adding a lot of resources to the site, and we're in discussions with different associations, including CAF or ACA, and it's going to grow, and it's going to be the biggest educational and career resource for the gerontology industry. And I don't want to focus on long-term care because it's not necessarily dealing with long-term care. There are a lot of short-term care gerontology opportunities out there, so it's going to be dealing with the entire spectrum of aging.
And how did you get started with this?
Well, the idea came to me from being frustrated as an administrator of not being able to find people to the quality workforce that I think is necessary to take the care industry to the next level. And the reason for that is that people are not aware of the opportunities. When you tell people, well, did you know that you can be a leader, or did you know that you can contribute at this level in an industry like this, they usually gave me blank looks. So initially it will be of course advertised to all the long-term care networks, but eventually it will be more of a national project where different industries will know about the opportunities in our industry.